What if your past suddenly reappeared in the most unexpected place? Mia, a dedicated flight attendant, never imagined she would encounter her first love, Ethan, on this routine flight. As their eyes meet, a storm of unresolved feelings begins to stir within her. Will this flight lead to closure or a new beginning? How do you truly confront the ghosts of your past? For Mia, the answer felt just beyond her reach, lurking in the back of her mind like a memory she almost couldn't grasp. As she navigated the busy cabin of her flight, her movements were fluid, a testament to her years of experience as a flight attendant. With each in-flight service, she radiated professionalism, deftly balancing trays and tending to the needs of passengers. Yet beneath her poised exterior, an undercurrent of yearning quietly tugged at her heart, a whisper of something more that she longed for in her life. She paused momentarily at first class, her breath catching in her throat, sitting at the window, Ethan, her first love sat, oblivious to the world around him. He looked much the same, yet profoundly different. The years had added a new layer to his features, a maturity that made her pulse quicken. Their eyes met, and in that instant, a wave of nostalgia flooded her, drowning her in memories of laughter and bittersweet moments that once defined their connection. Mia, he said hesitantly, his voice cutting through the cacophony of the cabin. It was a familiar tone, both welcoming and tinged with uncertainty. Ethan, she replied softly, as if testing the sound of his name on her lips after all this time. A rush of emotion surged within her, hesitant yet eager, as unsaid words hung between them. As they exchanged pleasantries, Mia's heart raced. Each word felt charged, heavily laced with their unresolved past. An internal monologue swirled in her mind. What if he's moved on? What if he still resents me for how things ended? The weight of vulnerability pressed down on her. She wanted to reach out, to express the tangled feelings inside her, yet fear clutched at her throat, paralyzing her. Do you think we could grab coffee after the flight? Ethan suggested, his eyes searching hers, leaving an unspoken invitation hanging in the air. Maybe, she replied, her stomach fluttering. Do I dare? Thought both thrilled and terrified her. As she moved through the cabin, she couldn't shake her curiosity or her anxiety. The chatter of passengers enshrouded her, snippets of conversation spilling forth about the buzz of Ethan's entrepreneurial success, each mention solidifying a deeper knot in her stomach. How can he be so successful and yet be here? She wondered, grappling with the fact that he seemed to have crafted a new life without her. Mia, are you okay? Olivia, her colleague, asked softly, noticing the subtle shifts in Mia's expressions as she continued her service. There was concern in her eyes, a friend's instinct nudging her forward. You look like you've seen a ghost. I'm fine, Mia fibbed. I'm fine, but Olivia wasn't convinced. Penny for your thoughts? Olivia pressed, raising an eyebrow knowingly. Mia felt the oscillation of the aircraft creating a perfect reflection of her emotional turmoil, a mix of excitement and trepidation. The turbulence outside was nothing compared to the storm brewing inside her, the delicate balance of professionalism straining against her personal longing for connection. Just then, the airplane jolted violently, unexpected turbulence sending a ripple through the cabin. As the plane steadied, Mia's heart pounded, matching the chaotic rhythm around her. This isn't just a flight. It's a confrontation with everything I've avoided, the choices I made, the heartbreak that ensued. The section closed in a metaphorical cliffhanger as the unexpected shake ignited a wave of resolve within her. What secrets from their shared past will resurface? She couldn't avoid it any longer. This flight would lead her to something she never anticipated. The cabin settled into a steady hum, the turbulence of the past temporarily calmed by the smoothness of the flight. Yet for Mia, her heart remained a tempest. As she glanced at Ethan, a familiar warmth spread through her, mingling with the sharp edge of regret. "Do you remember our trip to Paris?" she asked, biting her lip in anticipation of his reaction. Laughter spilled out of her as the vivid images flooded back the cafe, where they had spent endless hours sipping coffee and pretending to understand French. Ethan smiled. The kind of smile that reached his eyes, but hesitated at the corners of his mouth. "Of course. You insisted on taking the stairs to the top of the Eiffel Tower. I thought we were going to die." "Hey, I wanted the full experience," she teased, though the laughter quickly faded, replaced by the weight of their shared history. "It felt like years ago, didn't it?" "Yeah, it does." His gaze turned distant, a fleeting shadow crossing his face. Beneath the jokes lay layers of unspoken emotions, like sediment waiting to be disturbed. Mia shifted in her seat, the couch of nostalgia growing heavy on her shoulders. "You know, I think about us a lot," she confessed, the words slipping out before she could stop them. "How everything ended so quickly." Ethan's eyes flickered with something fear, or perhaps something deeper. "I try not to," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "There's too much regret." Regret, the word echoed in Mia's mind, cutting through the laughter like a knife. It was a sentiment she had buried, one she had navigated around like treacherous waters. "The way we left things haunts me sometimes," she said, her throat tightening. "Did we really want that life together?" He looked down, the silence between them thickening. In that moment, it was as if the air had solidified, preventing them from moving forward or backward. The memories flickered in her mind, arguments that spiraled into silence. Love that dwindled into silence. Love that dwindled into mere existence. She dared to ask, "Do you ever think we could have tried harder?" A brief pause froze them in time, where moments felt like an eternity. Ethan let out a heavy breath, the weight of his unvisited past clinging to him. Sometimes. But how do you fix something when you don't even know where it broke? The tension shifted when, suddenly, the plane jolted, the altitude dropping unexpectedly. Gasps filled the air, drawing them both closer, their hands instinctively reaching out to each other in shared panic. Time seemed to slow as adrenaline coursed through Mia's veins, forcing clarity through the fog of confusion. "I don't want to lose this," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, but loud enough for him to hear. Before Ethan could respond, the moment was interrupted by the insistent buzz of Mia's phone. She glanced down, her breath catching, as she read the message from a mutual friend. In her gut, an unsettling sense of intrigue unfurled. Ethan's life after the breakup was not what it appeared. "Mia?" Ethan's voice broke through her racing thoughts, laced with concern. Staring at the screen, she felt the ground beneath her shift once more. The laughter of old moments felt distant now, overshadowed by the choices looming on the horizon. "Sorry," through her. As the message lingered in the air between them, the emotions heightened, transforming into something palpable. What did it mean for them? Would this unexpected revelation alter their paths entwined once again? The flight hummed along, the rhythmic sound of the engines, a comforting backdrop to a whirlwind of emotions surging within Mia. As she moved down the aisle with her cart, a voice caught her attention. It was Mr. Thompson, a middle-aged passenger with kind eyes, recounting a poignant story to the travelers seated nearby. "I lost someone once," he said, his voice rich with nostalgia. "We were young, caught up in life, but sometimes you let the moment slip away, and then it's too late." Mia paused, her heart beating faster. She could vividly picture Ethan, his laughter ringing in her ears, the way his gaze would light up her world. A wave of bittersweet memories crashed over her, memories that climbed over one another, demanding space in her mind. As if in a dream, scenes from their time together flickered behind her closed eyes. Joyful evenings spent under the stars, silly inside jokes, and warm embraces that felt like home. But just as quickly, there were moments of pain. The last heated argument, the desperate words left unspoken. In that chaos, she could see now how societal pressures and their personal aspirations had driven a wedge between them, pulling them apart when they needed each other the most. Mia's breaths seemed to hitch with every recollection. Mr. Thompson's story dug deeper, extracting reflections she had buried. "You have to confront the things that haunt you," he continued, unaware of the profound effect he had on her. "Otherwise, the ghosts of the past will steal your chance for happiness." Her gaze drifted to Ethan, seated a few rows back, his fingers tracing the seat pocket absent-mindedly. Did he feel the weight of their unresolved issues, too? She swallowed hard, suppressing the flood of emotions rushing to the surface. As she returned to her duties, the quiet tension hummed between them, growing heavier with every passing moment. Tiny flashes of panic darted through her mind, warning her of the potential fallout of this fragile reunion. What if they didn't manage to bridge the gap that had formed between them? In a brief moment of respite, she exchanged a glance with Olivia, her coworker and close friend, who had been observing the atmosphere around Mia closely. "You can't let what happened before dictate your future," Olivia urged, her voice soft yet firm. "You need to take the leap." Mia nodded, but uncertainty clouded her heart. Each wave of turbulence increased her anxiety. With every jolt, her thoughts spiraled deeper into a realization: what if she missed the chance to truly reconnect with Ethan? Then, the plane shuddered violently, the low rumble of thunder echoing the raging tempest inside her. The lights flickered ominously, plunging the cabin into momentary darkness. For a fleeting second, time froze, a blood pounding in her ear sand. The tug of war between past regrets and hopeful aspirations hung in the air. Would she seize the moment, or would she let history dictate her choices? As the lights flickered back on, casting shadows against their expressions, Mia felt the gravity of that decision weighing down on her. The future uncertain, yet thrillingly within reach. The turbulence rattled the aircraft violently, a jolting reminder that even the most routine flights could take a turn for the worse. Mia gripped the armrests tightly, her heart racing not from fear alone, but from the undeniable instinct to protect those around her. She glanced at Ethan, whose expression was a mix of concentration and concern. In this moment of crisis, their personal history faded into the background, replaced by the urgent need for cooperation. "Get the emergency equipment," Mia shouted over the roar of the wind, her voice firm but edged with adrenaline. Ethan nodded resolutely, springing into action as they both surged into the aisle. The chaos around them served as a backdrop to their unspoken tensions, a swirling tempest that mirrored the storm brewing within. Memories from their past flickered in Mia's mind, soft whispers shared at dawn, laughter during long layovers, and the way Ethan used to look at her before it all fell apart. Just like the plane, their relationship had been turbulent, punctuated by periods of calm and unexpected dives. The memories were both a comfort and a curse as the two worked side by side, their professional instincts overriding the weight of old wounds. "Everyone, stay calm." Ethan's voice broke through the panic, steady and comforting, something Mia had always admired. For a brief moment, they were united by a shared purpose, thrust back into a partnership forged in mutual respect and responsibility. It was exhilarating, and in that electrifying atmosphere, emotions long buried began to surface. As they found refuge behind the curtain of the galley, the cacophony of chaos faded into a hush. The burden of their unspoken emotions pressed upon them, magnified by the adrenaline still coursing through their veins. "Mia," Ethan began, his voice low, eyes searching hers. "About everything that happened, I need to explain." For a heartbeat, Mia held her breath. Was she ready to dive into this? She prepared herself for the wave of anger that floated within, waiting to crash against the shore of his words. "You mean your mistakes?" She bit back, her eyes flashing, but somewhere beneath the anger, a flicker of longing fought for recognition. Ethan nodded, the vulnerability in his eyes disarming. "I wasn't the person you deserved when we were together. I was so caught up in my own issues that I pushed you away." After I realized my mistakes too late, the sincerity of his remorse hung in the air, mingling with the scent of coffee and faint traces of turbulence. Mia's heart twisted with a mix of pain and understanding. She had carried her own burdens since their split, the battlefield of regret and hurt, littered with memories of what might have been. It wasn't just you, Ethan. I had to protect myself from being hurt. It's complicated. Her voice faltered, revealing the tenderness that still lingered beneath her anger. I know, he replied, stepping closer. There was a desperation in his voice, an earnest attempt to bridge the chasm between them. I've changed. The time apart, it's made me see things differently. I want to be the person you can count on. They stood there, the world outside momentarily forgotten, two souls suspended in a shared history soaked in choices and consequences. The air was heavy with unspoken words and unfulfilled desires, each of them hovering at the precipice of reconciliation, yet uncertain of the leap. Just then, the plane stabilized, the turbulence abating into a shaky calm. The roar outside faded, and a profound stillness enveloped Mia. As the adrenaline dissipated, she was left to confront the reality of their situation, the weight of Ethan's revelations settling on her shoulders. Could they truly move past the mistakes inscribed in their shared past? Would she dare to forgive, or would she let history dictate her choices once more? For the first time, she questioned if this moment, born from chaos, could lead them to something transformative. As calm returned to the cabin, Mia cast her mind back to the confrontation that unfolded moments before. Her heart raced at the memory of Ethan's piercing gaze, and she felt a churn of vulnerability rising within her. It was a potent mixture of dread and cautious hope, both thrilling and frightening. The noise of the plane faded, leaving only the echoes of their heated words, a reminder of the walls they had built, but also of the cracks that began to form. Seated beside each other again, the hum of the plane created a different kind of energy in the air, one filled with unspoken possibilities. Glancing sideways, Mia noticed how Ethan's body seemed more relaxed now. Memories flashed through her mind, vivid snapshots of hikes in lush forests and laughter over shared meals, intertwining their past jaunts with the current weight of regret. Could such lightness exist alongside the burden they both bore? Mia, Ethan began, breaking the stillness as he turned to face her fully. I've changed since we last saw each other. She raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. Changed how? He took a deep breath, his eyes filled with earnestness. I realized that pushing you away was the dumbest thing I ever did. I've been working on myself, really working on it. I want you to see that the person you knew back then isn't who I am now. Each word carried the weight of his transformation, the regret he had hung onto like a heavy cloak. Mia felt a flicker of something between Thema tingling awareness, but her internal battle raged. Forgiveness felt like a mountain too steep to climb. Could she really let go of all that hurt? Ethan, it's not that simple, she replied softly, her voice hushed, as if speaking louder might summon the ghosts of their past. What if I can't? Then we'll figure it out, Ethan said, his voice steady and confident. I just want a chance to prove to you that I'm different. We owe it to ourselves to see what could happen. Mia's mind drifted back to the paths not taken, to the tangled threads of their lives. The what-ifs loomed large between them. What if they were meant to be together? What if fate had conspired to bring them back here? Just moments before a crucial decision. Before she could respond, the aircraft shuddered slightly, and a voice crackled over the intercom, announcing their descent. A fresh wave of anxiety washed over her. As they neared the ground, the thought of goodbyes hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Her heart quickened, urging her to articulate the tumult of emotions swirling inside her. What if this was the last time they were together? Yeah? Ethan nudged gently, his voice underscoring the seriousness of their moment. What are you thinking? Her fingers trembled as she held her phone, the screen lighting up with an unexpected text from her work. A warning. The words blurred as panics. It's nothing important, she stammered, forcing a shaky smile, desperate to mask her growing concern. She felt the weight of impending consequences pressing down upon her. What if this alert meant complications that would sway her decision? Yet, deep inside, the question loomed larger than her fears. What would happen in the final moments before they landed? Would they seize this fleeting moment? Or would it all slip away like sand through their fingers? As the wheels of the plane kissed the tarmac, Mia felt a pang of exhilaration that quickly morphed into a knot of trepidation in her stomach. The excitement in the cabin was palpable, eager faces lit with the joy of reaching their destination. Yet, for Mia and Ethan, that thrill was dimmed by the harsh light of reality. What would happen next? The end of this journey felt precarious, as if they were balancing on the edge of something profound yet uncertain. Navigating the labyrinth of the disembarkation area felt surreal. Mia and Ethan walked side by side, but the silence between them buzzed with unspoken words. The world around them bustled. Families greeted each other with joyful shrieks, friends shared laughter, and yet all Mia could focus on was the mounting tension that had woven itself into every glance exchanged with Ethan. Her heart raced. Would this moment be the last? Olivia, Mia's friend and confidant, gracefully broke the spell of stillness. Sensing the unaddressed emotions swirling between them, she leaned closer to Mia, her voice a gentle push. You know, sometimes you just have to leap. Second chances are beautiful. They don't come around often. Don't let fear hold you back, Mia. Mia's eyes flickered to Ethan, who stood a few steps away, a mixture of hope and uncertainty written across his face. Olivia's words tugged at her heart, urging response, but doubt clouded her mind like dark rain clouds. What if she took that leap and it ended in an even greater fall? In the midst of this emotional chaos, Mr. Thompson appeared, his presence all too timely. He clapped a hand on Ethan's shoulder, like a mentor desirous of imparting wisdom. You know, Ethan, he said, his tone warm yet electric, sometimes fate offers us surprises just when we least expect them. You've got to be ready to grasp those opportunities. Don't let the moment slip. Ethan's eyes sparkled with renewed determination, the kind that solidified the edges of his hope, urging him to seize the day. The weight of their encounter hung in the air, palpable and profound. They shared a glance filled with promise, the kind of hope they each desperately clung to. As the sea of humanity surged around them, their attention returned to one another. Mia, before it's too late, Ethan began, words rushing out in a torrent. Can we meet again? I want to show you that I've changed, that I'm worth it this time. The sincerity in his voice hit her like a wave, washing over her fears and exposing the soft vulnerabilities hidden deep within. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Trevor's tremors of uncertainty warred with the blossoming warmth in her chest. She felt the stirrings of possibilities. Yet the haunting voice of doubt whispered at the corners of her mind. I don't know, Ethan, she stammered, each syllable heavy with both longing and panic. What if it's just a dream we can't fulfill? Their eyes locked, and in that moment, the rest of the world faded away. The colors of the airport dulled. Time slowed down, and only their hearts beat audibly in the cocoon of their connection. They had reached a precipice, one that demanded a choice. In that urgency, Mia's thoughts raced, circling back to Olivia's encouragement. As the buzz of travelers continued around them, she recognized the truth. If they hesitated too long, this feeling might dissipate, slipping away like sand through their fingers. She inhaled deeply, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Ethan, she finally breathed, her voice trembling yet fierce. Maybe we should take this chance. But let's not rush. There's so much we need to figure out. Hope flickered in Ethan's eyes, a fragile light against the backdrop of uncertainty. Yet the clock was ticking. and the reality of the moment loomed over them. Would they take their second chance, or would this fleeting moment vanish before their eyes? Mia's heart felt heavy as she watched the airport come to life around her. It was as if each cheerful traveler and bustling family reminded her of the joy that had once existed in her life, only to now serve as a painful contrast to her internal struggle. Could she really allow herself to be vulnerable again? The thought clung to her mind like a stubborn echo refusing to fade. As she disembarked, snippets of memories began to flash before her, a flurry of sunlit laughter, shared glances, and whispered secrets. Each recollection painted the moments they had spent together in vibrant hues, a bittersweet collage that stirred an ache in her chest. But along with these brighter days came a cloud of doubt, looming ominously over her heart. Could she ever ignore the fears that crawled through her veins like a dark shadow? Suddenly, her gaze caught a figure at the edge of the terminal. Ethan, strong yet uncertain, stood momentarily paralyzed in a conversation with an unfamiliar person. Her breath hitched as she recognized a glimmer of tension in his posture, the way his hands clenched and unclenched at his sides, something weighing heavily on his shoulders. The figure, a ghost from a lively past social circle, seemed to ooze sense of unease, and with every passing second, Mia's heart raced as the scene unfolded. "You think you can just show up here?" The figure's voice, laced with bitterness, sliced through the air. After everything that happened? Ethan's expression hardened, the confidence he had shown her earlier now slipping away like sand through fingers. "I'm trying to move on, to be better," he replied, his voice steady but laced with an underlying tremor. Mia felt her stomach drop. This confrontation had the sharp edges of betrayal, like glass shards digging into her sides. She wanted to look away, to shield herself from the reminders of what he had done, but the urge was simply too powerful. As Ethan struggled with his past, the storm cloud of trust issues brewed within her. Could she count on him? Had he truly changed, or would the echoes of his transgressions linger like a persistent whisper in the back of her mind? "Better? You haven't changed at all," the figure shot back, voice dripping with disdain. Shadows danced across Mia's resolve as she absorbed each word. It ignited a flicker of anger within her, mixed with a profound sadness. Ethan's eyes darted towards her, desperation etched in his features. She could almost feel his unspoken plea to defend him, to believe that he was no longer the man he once was, with Olivia's words teetering in the back of her head. "Words are a tool, Mia. Sometimes confronting your pain is the only way to move forward." Mia found herself rooted in place. Her emotions wrestled within her. Was she ready to confront the past, to forge a path through her fears, or would she once again turn away because the risk felt too overwhelming? As the tension escalated, each heartbeat ushered in a sense of urgency. She could see Ethan falter, caught under the weight of the encounter, and a part of her wanted desperately to reach out, not just for him, but for herself. This was the moment, the brink of something new. Mia exhaled slowly, every ounce of courage gathering within her. The choice loomed just ahead. Would she take that step forward and allow her voice to break the silence between them? With hope in one hand and uncertainty in the other, she prepared to confront Ethan, a gamble that could either fracture her heart further or lead them to a much-needed closure. "Can true love survive the shadows of betrayal?" she whispered under her breath, contemplating her decision. The question lingered in the air like a promise, leaving both her heart and the audience in anxious anticipation. Mia stood in the narrow aisle of the aircraft, her heart pounding louder than the turbines outside. In this confined space, surrounded by muted chatter and the faint smell of jet fuel, she felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Confrontation lead to liberation, she thought, steadying herself against the seat. She had rehearsed this over and over in her mind, yet the gravity of what lay ahead sent shivers down her spine. "Ethan, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady but soft as she met his gaze. The warmth that once ignited sparks between them now felt tangled with the thorns of their past. He turned, a mixture of surprise and apprehension shadowing his features. "Mia," he began, the cadence of his voice betraying his unease. "What's going on? I can't keep pretending that everything's fine. Not when we have so much." Her breath caught, unresolved between us. Ethan's expression shifted, the facade of indifference cracking. "I didn't mean to hurt you." He traced her words with a hint of regret, revealing vulnerabilities that simmered beneath the surface. "You don't understand what I was going through back then." "Then help me understand," she demanded, leaning forward, desperation flaring within her. "You walked away, leaving me to pick up the pieces. I was shattered, Ethan. Every day since, I've been trying to heal from what you did." He flinched, the pain evident in his eyes. "I thought leaving would protect you. I didn't want to drag you down with my mistakes." "Your mistakes?" she echoed, wounded and incredulous. "This isn't just about you. I loved you, and you turned your back." It felt like betrayal, each word sliced through the air, heavier than the last. Mia could see the struggle etched on his face. His past hovered between them like a ghost, refusing to be laid to rest. And yet, in that moment, as they exchanged truths and raw confessions, something shifted. Tears brimmed in her eyes. Do you even in her eyes have any idea how hard it's been? How many nights I questioned what I did wrong? Ethan stepped closer, the sorrow flooding his voice. "I've thought about you every day, Mia. I didn't stop caring. What good are words if they come too late?" she asked, feeling her resolve falter. But alongside the hurt was a flicker of something almost hopeful. They were acknowledging their scars, unraveling the threads of their shared history. In this moment of clarity, they grasped that love couldn't be defined solely by their past mistakes, nor could it be owned. "I've changed," he insisted, his tone fierce yet vulnerable. "I want to be better for us, if we even have a chance." Tears, if we even have a chance, fell then not from a place of defeat, but rather from the moment's catharsis. They spoke of growth, recognizing how each twist of fate had shaped them into the people they were now, stronger, more resilient, and painfully aware of their capacity to heal. But just as the intensity peaked, Mia felt a strange pull near the seat pocket where she sat. She reached in absent-mindedly, and her fingers grazed against a folded note. Confusion flickered inside her as she pulled it free, its presence a jarring shift from their emotional exchange. She unfolded the paper, her breath catching as she read the words. "I'm not done with you yet." In that chilling instant, the tension mounted between the past and future options rolling out before her like a flight path on a map. Mia could sense Ethan's gaze burning into her, mirroring her own shock. Caught between memories and possibilities, she felt the weight of an ultimate choice. It haunted her, the question echoing, what did she truly want? As reality crept back in around them, both stood frozen, caught between the threads of their complex reunion. Would the note unravel all they had just begun to mend? Or would it be the catalyst for a new journey together? Mia stood on the tarmac, the vibrant colors of the sunset casting a warm glow around her, illuminating the path ahead. Her heart raced not just from the whirlwind of emotions, but from the weight of a question that echoed in her mind like the distant hum of an airplane's engines. What would one do if faced with a second chance at love? This question felt intimate, as if it reached deep within her, urging her to reflect on her own choices. As she gazed at the horizon, her thoughts drifted to the serendipitous meeting, the unearthed feelings, and the note that had sparked hope after years of silence. She thought of Alex, the laughter they once shared, and how quickly love could reignite a flame thought extinguished. There was uncertainty ahead, but what if they could chart a new course together? In that moment, a wave of possibilities washed over her. Each option shimmered in the fading light, risking it all for love, stepping into the unknown and embracing the beauty of the unexpected. She considered the possibilities that awaited those willing to embrace the unexpected in life. It was a reminder that life was not merely about safe choices. It was about daring to jump into the unknown, hand in hand, with someone who could see the world through the same lens of wonder. Mia's breath caught as she recalled the lessons woven throughout her life. The missteps, the stumbles, and the victories. Love wasn't just a destination. It was the journey itself, rich with lessons, steeped in hope, and requiring the courage to start anew. Each experience had shaped her, molding her into the woman she was totally ready to take that leap of faith. With determination flooding her veins, she felt clarity wash over her like the cool evening breeze. Whatever the future held, she was willing to embrace it. Love, she thought, was about more than just moments of bliss. It was about the journey, the growth, and the transformation it inspired within. As thoughts of her future with Alex played out like fragments of a dream, Mia smiled softly. She turned back to the flight attendant's lounge, her heart lighter, her spirit awakened. If this newfound chance were ever to materialize into something beautiful, it would require trust, vulnerability, and the willingness to embrace what lay ahead. If you found this emotional journey inspiring, she imagined saying to the viewers, "Give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that celebrate love's unpredictable nature." She could almost hear the echoes of supportive voices in the backdrop, encouraging her to share her story. Thanks for joining Mia on her journey. Let's keep exploring the beautiful complexities of life and love together in the next video. The thought filled her soul with warmth, a gentle reminder that she was not alone in her quest to navigate the unpredictable tides of love and relationships.